What's up, guys? This is Will here from LogicLounge.com here with Evo to show off the Ubuntu phone.
Definitely. So this is Ubuntu running on the phone now. We basically brought the Ubuntu desktop to the phone, created a new user interface, optimized for small touchscreens. But it's still the same operating system, right? So which is really cool. It's like an operating system that scales to all kinds of devices. So this is the first screen, right? So when I start the phone, I see this first screen, and the two important things to notice here. The first one is the graphic, and the graphic is basically a visualization of your personal life, built over time, built on your personal data. So it's unique to me, it's unique to every user, and it gives a very personal touch to when I start using the phone. The other important thing to see is that there are no buttons, no soft key buttons, no hard key buttons. And the main reason is that we designed the whole experience around the edges of the screen. So every edge has a very specific purpose, and it allows me to interact much faster with the phone than what we're used to. So gives much faster access to apps, and also multitasking between apps becomes super smooth. So for example, when I go to the left, is the launcher, so all my favorite apps. We've seen that people have many apps, but 10 to 15 apps or even lower are used every day, and very frequently, right? So people can put it over here, and without actually leaving your screen, you can already launch the app. So for example, when I would go to, let me see, the Gallery app, which is a native app that we built, gorgeous app. So there we go. If I now want to launch another app, I don't have to go to any home screen. I just go to my favorites, and for example, launch the camera over there. If I now want to go back to my previous app, for example, after I take a picture, right, I can use the right edge for that. See that? So the left edge is for launching apps, and the right edge is for going back. It allows for really quick multitasking between apps. Let me go do another one. Go back to notes. Let me see. Go back to the camera again. Right. So it's a very nice way of interacting and a very fast way of navigating between my apps. So let me go back to the gallery and explain to you one more important principle. So over here you see the header. So that's the photos. Eventually. By the way, you also see how smoothly it runs, right? It's like Ubuntu is super smooth on this hardware. So one of the core principles was we didn't want to clutter the interface with buttons and controls. People actually want to look at pictures. They don't want to be annoyed by buttons in your face all the time. And most of the time, I don't use these buttons anyway, right? So I only want to see these buttons when I actually want to use them. So for example, when I start scrolling, even the header goes away. See that? When I scroll back, the header comes back. When I start scrolling, the whole screen is dedicated to pictures. If I want to, there you go. If I want to open a picture, there's still no controls. If I want to do something with the picture, I bring in the controls from the bottom edge. See that? So for example, edit, for example, or share. If I want to go back to the gallery, I go there. So the bottom edge basically allows me to bring in my controls when I want to. The other important thing is what we found was that sometimes you want to change the setting. For example, you want to change the Wi-Fi, or you want to change the brightness of the screen. And for a setting, I kind of don't want to leave my app. I kind of want to just do it very quickly, and then go back to where I was and continue. So rather than going out of my app, go into a settings app, finding the right setting, we have a much faster way of actually accessing my settings, and that's through the top edge. So for example, I go over here and I swipe sideways, for example, and I can dive directly into a specific setting. So for example, to date and time, bring it back up, and I'm back in my app. See that? Or for example, battery, bring it back down, change the brightness of the screen, bring it back up, and I'm back in my app. Also, I can go to messages, right? So for example, missed call, a reply, email, another email reply, bring it back up, I'm back in my app. So the edges really allow me to interact really fast with the system and between apps. So left edge for launching app, right edge for going back, bottom edge for bringing in controls, top edge for accessing my settings. If I want to go back to the home screen, I just go here. I have a couple of dedicated screens for all my apps, basically. I want to be able to access them somewhere. My recorded videos and videos for downloads, people over here, my contacts, and music. Well, and the last thing probably to tell is that Ubuntu is using both native apps and web apps, so HTML5 apps, and they sit side by side in the platform. So for example, I have here the gallery, and which is a native app, and Twitter and Gmail, for example, can be HTML5 apps, Facebook as well, and they integrate deeply into Ubuntu. We already have it on the desktop, and it will, because it's the same code, it will also run immediately on the phone. So for example, here I have a contact, can open it as a status update, and which is basically coming for the integrated web service. Also the messages, as you've seen before, right, has Facebook messages integrated, just coming from HTML5 web service, right? So there you go, Facebook, bring it back up, and I'm back at my home screen. So that's Ubuntu on the phone.
So we know that the market for phones is a very crowded sphere. What would you say sets the Ubuntu phone apart from your Android counterpart, which is also open source, or your closed down iOS platform?
Right, so one correction, Android is not fully open source. They don't have a transparent roadmap, we do. And we are much more open for customization and personalization with our partners than Android, for example, is. Also, the experience of the phone is much neater, it's much more cleaner, and we think that we can run much better on, for example, mid to low-end phones. We have a higher performance, we don't depend on a Java virtual machine, and we think we have a very strong story to tell there. The other important thing is that Ubuntu is a platform that goes to every form factor. So we have the same core running on desktop, TV, and now mobile as well. So for example, when you develop apps, they run immediately everywhere. If I want to merge, for example, and converge the PC experience with a phone, it uses the same core, the same user. It's a different user. It's an optimized user interface for form factors, but it's still the same system. So it allows for much more flexibility across different form factors.
So you say that it's a fluid interface across the three platforms, TV, mobile, desktop, meaning that if we are going to run something on our desktop, we can run it on our phone as well, perhaps with an optimized experience?
Well, so for example, you saw now the Gallery app, which is a Qt app, which is built for the phone. I saw last week running on my desktop, right? So it's like if I build an app for the phone, it runs on my desktop. The other way around is a bit more difficult because desktop apps now are more optimized for a UI than it was for a desktop. Scaling them down is a little bit, it's a different exercise. But yeah, if you build an app now for the phone, it will run on desktop too.
So again, when it comes back to the real competitive phone market,
right.
You're kind of new to the phone sphere, but at the same time, you've been around forever in terms of the desktop experience. Do you think that gives you an advantage in some way since you're sticking with what you know and just bringing it to that smaller screen, and that's what people are familiar with?
I mean, it's a big advantage that we have that experience. First of all, we know how it is to bring an operating system to market. We work with hardware partners already for a long time. Ubuntu traditionally runs really well on low-end specs, so we know how to optimize an operating system for a hardware spec that requires optimization. We know all the stuff, and we do a very good job at that, so we think we can play a significant role there, yeah.
One of my favorite features that we didn't get to touch on, it's something that you have had the ability for with about a year now with Ubuntu for Android.
Right.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so basically the other cool thing, and that's one of the reasons that we can achieve that is because we have one operating system everywhere, is that Ubuntu desktop can run from a phone. If you have a powerful processor, for example a quad-core, you can basically take your phone with you, go somewhere, dock it into an HDMI cable, HDMI dock, and basically you can run the Ubuntu desktop from your phone. So basically you will have your PC in the pocket. We already announced last year it was running on Android. Obviously now with our own phone operating system, it'll run from our phone as well. So basically we are scaling from low end and mid end to high end. Where mid and low end we have a very powerful OS that runs really smoothly on those devices, and with the Ubuntu desktop also running from a phone, we have also a very nice offering on the high end basically.
And being something that was just released to the public to show off, what kind of availability and dates do we have for it?
Right, so we announced last week. Honestly, the reactions were amazing. We got so much interest. We got interest from many potential partners. We are talking with them now to see how we can make it happen and bring it to market. We're very confident that it will happen, but I cannot mention any dates yet. Yeah.
You can't guess what you don't know yet, so I appreciate it. Thank you very much. This has been Will from the CES show floor with the Ubuntu phone. Thank you very much. Thanks.